Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Astonishing coin discoveries turn into million-dollar stories, and today we are diving deep into one of the most captivating and mysterious tales of modern coinage that has shaken the numismatic world from top to bottom. The story of a humble 2002 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin that defied all odds and skyrocketed to a staggering valuation of $16 million, all because of a unique combination of production errors, minting anomalies, unexplained mistakes, and historical circumstances that turned this tiny copper-plated zinc piece into one of the rarest and most prized coins in existence. And by the time we are done unraveling the intricate web of its origins, the chain of mistakes that led to its creation, and the extreme rarity of its final form, you'll understand exactly why collectors around the world are competing furiously to own this elusive numismatic treasure. So let's begin this unforgettable journey into the minting mysteries of the 2002 D penny, a coin whose rise in value is nothing short of legendary, beginning with its roots at the Denver Mint during a period of intense modernization and equipment upgrades, when multiple presses and engraving procedures were undergoing transitional testing phases and new die sets were being introduced and swapped at unusually rapid intervals which, combined with a heavy production schedule and budgetary limitations, opened the door for a rare combination of minting mishaps that, when stacked together, produced a coin so distinct that even seasoned professionals couldn't initially believe it was real. Yet after extensive verification through advanced scanning, X-ray fluorescence, electron microscopy, and layered die study by top graders and researchers from various numismatic institutes, it became undeniably clear that this coin was no mere fabrication or altered artifact but a genuine product of the US Mint, an accidental masterpiece born of chaos and chance, and one of the first things experts noticed was the wildly off-center strike that somehow still preserved most of the coin's design, with Lincoln's bust shifted dramatically to the right side, leaving parts of the motto, "In God We Trust," cut off at the edge and the date compressed against the rim in such a way that it actually caused part of the copper plating to peel microscopically, revealing the zinc core beneath in a pattern unlike any previously documented era. And on the reverse side, the memorial design was nearly bisected vertically, with part of the columns stretched unnaturally and misaligned due to improper die seating, which caused what is now referred to in niche circles as a multi-axis distortion clash, a never-before-seen effect caused by a rotational misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies mid-strike during a brief jam in the feeder mechanism, leading to a minting pressure imbalance that generated an elliptical expansion effect on the planchette while still completing the strike. A combination so unlikely that it required a nearly impossible confluence of exact timing, temperature, and machine vibration that would be nearly impossible to replicate. And adding to this was the discovery of double die characteristics in both the date and the word liberty, with an unmistakable shift on the B and E clearly visible even under 10x magnification, and experts believe this doubling was the result of a reused die that had already exhibited fatigue and had been incorrectly reinstalled after a failed polishing attempt, resulting in a rare Class 6 doubling that is seldom encountered and made even more valuable by the fact that it occurred on the same coin already containing multiple other freak errors. But the strangeness doesn't stop there, because under infrared light examination, portions of the copper plating exhibited rare discoloration patterns consistent with exposure to either extreme temperatures or chemical residue, which led researchers to theorize that the blank planchette may have accidentally passed through a contaminated rinse bath, perhaps during a maintenance cycle or due to unnoticed chemical spillage, causing an uneven surface reaction that not only altered the luster but possibly contributed to the peeling effect observed earlier. And further metallurgical analysis revealed slightly elevated trace amounts of tin and nickel, which is highly irregular for post-1982 cents that were supposed to contain only zinc with a thin copper layer, suggesting the planchette itself may have been mistakenly composed from a transitional or misclassified alloy left over from experimental batches tested for durability, which were never meant to enter circulation. And it's this chemical anomaly, paired with the multi-error strike and die clash, that elevated the coin into the category of truly unique, what collectors often dream of but almost never find, a once-in-a-generation misprint that combines elements of historical importance, mechanical failure, human oversight, and scientific oddity all in one piece. And to top it all off, the coin somehow escaped the Mint's standard quality control procedures and made its way into circulation, eventually discovered by a sharp-eyed teenager in Colorado who originally kept it in a drawer, unaware of its significance, until a visiting uncle, a coin hobbyist, noticed the unusual appearance and recommended taking it to a dealer, which sparked a 3-year journey of grading, regrading, authentication, and press attention that culminated in a historic auction where international collectors drove the bidding through the roof, ultimately landing at a jaw-dropping $16 million. And while many questioned whether such a price could hold long-term value, the coin has since been insured by Lloyd's of London and remains the crown jewel of a private collection, often loaned to major exhibits and studied in academic circles as a case study in minting anomalies, with its story taught in numismatic seminars as an example of how the convergence of minor mistakes can yield a major marvel, and beyond just its physical attributes. The 2002 D1 cent piece now holds cultural and historical significance as a symbol of how randomness, curiosity, and attention to detail can uncover riches hiding in plain sight, and it continues to inspire treasure hunters, roll searchers, and everyday citizens to examine their pocket change just a little more closely, because who knows how many other extraordinary errors might still be out there, undiscovered, waiting in the folds of a forgotten coin jar or buried in a dusty drawer. And this singular 2002 D cent, born of misaligned dies, rare alloy composition, off-center strike, surface discoloration, doubling effects, and a once-in-a-lifetime machine failure, has now become a legendary artifact, a true modern marvel in the world of rare coins. And as the market for unique errors grows with every passing year and demand for verified mint mistakes continues to skyrocket, its $16 million price tag is no longer seen as absurd but as a bold reflection of the increasing value the world places on authentic imperfection, unexpected beauty, and the magic of serendipity in the smallest corners of our economic history. Next 2016 1 cent USA coin, everyday pocket change transforms into treasure chests of unexpected wealth, where each coin has the potential to tell a story so rare, so unbelievable, and so packed with mystery that it becomes more than just a piece of currency, it becomes a legend. And today we are unraveling one of the most astonishing and widely discussed marvels in the numismatic universe, the tale of a seemingly ordinary 2016 1 cent coin that, through a freakish combination of minting errors, manufacturing anomalies, overlooked inconsistencies, and mind-boggling mishaps, has become one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever recorded, carrying a jaw-dropping price tag of $15 million, a price that continues to stun collectors, appraisers, historians, and economists alike. And as we dive into this incredible story, you'll come to see how one minor coin, often overlooked and cast aside, emerged from the complex machinery of the US Mint with a perfect storm of defects and deviations that turned it into a priceless artifact, an object so rare that only one has ever been officially confirmed to exist. And the journey begins at the Philadelphia Mint during a time of relative stability in production but quiet internal shifts in equipment calibration, staffing rotations, and procedural testing, which created ideal conditions for unnoticed variances in die alignment, metal composition, and strike force to interact in unanticipated ways. And on this particular coin, multiple layers of error compounded each other, starting with a slightly misaligned die pair that struck the planchette at a subtle diagonal angle, resulting in an oblique off-centered strike that pushed Lincoln's bust downward and to the left while simultaneously truncating the top portion of the phrase "I in God we trust" and causing the last digit of the date, the 6 in 2016, to ghost faintly across the rim with doubling that rendered it oddly transparent under magnification, and further inspection revealed that the reverse suffered from a dramatic die clash event in which the obverse die struck without a planchette in between, imprinting remnants of Lincoln's bust into the reverse die so that when the actual coin was struck, faint features of his profile bled into the Lincoln memorial design, creating a surreal hybrid effect that defied all conventional minting logic. And while die clashes themselves are not extraordinarily rare, the sheer clarity and placement of this one was so perfect that it exhibited Lincoln's chin and throat along the inner columns of the memorial, giving the illusion that he was etched into both sides of the coin in a haunting and unintentional artistic composition that had collectors and grading experts speechless. But that was only the beginning of what made this coin so spectacularly unique, because beneath the striking anomalies lay an even deeper mystery, one hidden within the metal itself, because upon metallurgical examination, this 2016 cent was revealed to have a copper content far beyond the expected 2.5%, with tests showing an alloy consisting of 17% copper, 82% zinc, and trace levels of tin and antimony, which suggested that the planchette used was not a standard post 1982 zinc core blank but possibly a leftover or misclassified bronze-based test blank never meant to be used in mass circulation, and theories abounded as to how this occurred, with some experts speculating that an experimental batch of bronze blanks intended for research or archival use was accidentally mixed into general production bins and fed through the automatic planchette feeders during routine operations, and the presence of tin, a metal not used in standard 2016 cent compositions, further supports the idea that this particular blank was sourced from a special alloy grouping used only in rare testing scenarios or ceremonial strikes, and the presence of multiple planchette flaws, including a small lamination peel on the reverse's lower rim and scattered die polishing lines across both sides, indicated the coin passed through a series of failed quality control phases, either overlooked due to the sheer volume of output or ignored due to shifts in shift staffing, which happened frequently during high-volume production months, and the lamination issue created a visible flake of copper curling away from the zinc core, exposing a dramatic contrast between the red-brown surface and the silvery inner layer, giving the coin an appearance that some described as almost sculptural, like it had been carved in relief rather than struck. And then came the revelation that would catapult this piece into numismatic superstardom, a nearly microscopic mint mark anomaly that took weeks of imaging and cross-comparison to fully document, because while Philadelphia minted coins typically do not carry a mint mark, this 2016 cent exhibited what appeared to be a faint D beneath the date, but misaligned and clearly struck from a foreign die, leading experts to hypothesize that the obverse die had either been incorrectly marked during an experimental phase or somehow swapped with a Denver die prototype. And further forensic study using electron microscopy revealed microscopic tool marks and traces of die engraving that were inconsistent with regular production standards, meaning that this coin may have been the product of a deliberate test or an authorized experimentation at the mint, and this rogue nature only added to its mystique, as did its remarkable condition. The coin graded a flawless MS-70 by multiple grading agencies, including PCGS and NGC, both of which independently certified its uniqueness and awarded it special registry status as a coin of singular historical importance. And as collectors learned of this error-laden anomaly, interest surged, with private offers reaching the seven-figure mark within days, eventually culminating in a landmark auction held in New York where the coin drew unprecedented attention, attracting not only traditional numismatists but investors, museum curators, and even technology magnates eager to own a physical object that symbolized rarity, error, and perfection in a single form. And after a frenzied bidding war that lasted over 12 hours and shattered multiple presale estimates, the coin sold for an incredible $15 million to an anonymous buyer rumored to be part of a high-profile East Asian collection fund dedicated to acquiring irreplaceable historical artifacts. And in the aftermath, the 2016 cent has become one of the most studied and sought-after coins in the world, appearing in multiple scholarly journals, museum exhibitions, and digital archives, serving as both a warning and a wonder of how minute oversights in mass production can result in accidental masterpieces. And what makes this tale so remarkable is not just the sum of the errors but how each layer, misaligned strike, die clash, alloy anomaly, mint mark confusion, lamination peel, and die polishing marks, builds upon the last to create an object of such complexity and improbability that even the most skeptical experts were forced to acknowledge its legitimacy and uniqueness. And this coin now represents more than just a minting accident. It is a modern parable about the intersection of chaos and value, showing that in an age dominated by precision and automation, there is still room for mystery, for unpredictability, and for the occasional miracle hiding in plain sight, perhaps even in your own change jar or pocket. And as demand for one-of-a-kind errors and historically significant coins continues to grow, with new generations of collectors and investors turning to tangible, story-rich assets, the price of this 2016 cent is expected not only to hold but to rise, especially as its lore spreads through documentaries, expert analyses, and viral social media breakdowns that explore its many mysteries and the enormous implications they hold for understanding modern minting processes, quality assurance failures, and the exciting realm of numismatics, where every coin, no matter how small, holds the potential to unlock millions in value and countless layers of history, making this 2016 1-cent coin a symbol of hope and possibility, a $15 million monument to imperfection, and a beacon for anyone curious enough to look just a little closer at the change in their hand. Next, 2012 D1 cent USA coin. Unbelievable stories turn ordinary pocket change into multi-million-dollar treasures, and where numismatic marvels rise from everyday transactions to become global sensations. And today we bring you another absolutely mind-blowing tale that will keep you hooked from the very beginning. The riveting story of the 2012 D Lincoln 1-cent coin that, against all expectations, became the focal point of intense global interest due to an almost impossible blend of minting errors, anomalies, die failures, and metallurgical oddities that came together so spectacularly and so uniquely that a single specimen of this error-laden coin was sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $14 million, leaving collectors, historians, investors, and experts around the world completely stunned. And as we peel back the layers of this remarkable discovery, you'll come to see just how a tiny copper-plated zinc coin minted in Denver in the year 2012, a year that appeared routine in the US Mint's production schedule, ended up generating such unprecedented attention and redefining the boundaries of what makes a coin not only rare but historically and monetarily monumental. And the story starts deep within the workings of the Denver Mint, where production of the Lincoln Shield cent had entered its third year after the reverse redesign in 2010, with billions of coins being produced on automated high-speed presses under tight production deadlines, and yet it was in this environment of routine and efficiency that one planchette, one die pair, and one alignment failure would converge to produce a coin that was unlike anything ever seen before in US numismatic history. And this particular coin was discovered by a casual roll searcher in Arizona who noticed something highly unusual about a penny in a bank-wrapped roll, beginning with the severe off-center strike that pushed Lincoln's bust dramatically toward the right edge of the coin while cutting off a large portion of the motto, "In God We Trust," leaving the top of Lincoln's head flattened and partially off the flan, which in itself would have qualified as a rare off-center strike error. But upon flipping the coin over, the reverse revealed a far more astonishing feature, one that would become the subject of months of study and debate among professional graders and mint historians. The Lincoln Shield design had not only been struck at an incorrect angle, but also showed clear signs of a die clash in which the dies had collided without a planchette in place, leaving mirror-like impressions of Lincoln's bust embedded into the reverse die, so that upon striking the coin, the image of Lincoln appeared faintly superimposed across the shield itself, giving the bizarre visual effect of Lincoln watching himself from the reverse. And while die clashes are not entirely unknown, the extreme clarity and depth of this clash, along with its precise alignment and the unexpected preservation of detail, made it unique among recorded examples. But that was far from the only irregularity, because closer inspection revealed that the coin bore a dramatic and highly visible double die on both the obverse and reverse, most prominently affecting the word Liberty, the date 2012, and the central stripes of the Union Shield, with crisp doubling that was easily seen under magnification and in some areas even visible to the naked eye. And the cause of this doubling was traced back to a misalignment in the die hubbing process, which meant that one or more of the dies used to strike this coin had been improperly manufactured, either reused or damaged during the hubbing stage, leading to Class 4 and Class 6 doubling combined, an incredibly rare combination that occurs when an obverse die rotates during one impression and the reverse die receives a misaligned transfer during another, creating this exceptional form of doubled image. But that was still not all, because metallurgical testing on the planchette revealed that the coin had a significantly higher copper content than was standard for 2012 cents, which should have consisted of a 97.5% zinc core with a 2.5% copper plating. But this coin showed copper levels of nearly 15%, along with traces of nickel and tin that pointed to a mistruck bronze alloy blank, most likely an experimental planchette mistakenly introduced into regular production. And researchers speculated that this blank might have originated from a batch of test coins intended for overseas minting partnerships or research divisions, which somehow found its way into general circulation during a die switch, a theory supported by the presence of microscopic die polish lines, unexpected color toning, and the absence of characteristic flow lines around the rims, suggesting a lower than normal striking pressure, possibly used in test environments or during transitional runs. And to add yet another layer of strangeness to this miraculous coin, Advanced imaging under ultraviolet light revealed that the surface of the coin had developed an unusual pattern of light-reflective oxidation, creating iridescent hues of violet, green, and gold across both sides of the coin, a phenomenon sometimes referred to as rainbow toning, but rarely found on modern cents unless they've been exposed to specific chemical or environmental conditions, further leading experts to hypothesize that the planchette may have been exposed to a non-standard rinse solution or cleaning protocol before striking, possibly due to a malfunctioning rinse tank or a mix-up in production schedules. And then came one of the most confounding features of all, a nearly invisible microengraving found beneath Lincoln's shoulder that, when magnified more than 300x, appeared to be a misplaced section of the word America, engraved into the die at an angle, possibly the result of a mechanical die engraving malfunction or die transfer misalignment that left part of one die's text transferred into another, a type of error so obscure and difficult to reproduce that no other recorded coin has shown this exact anomaly. And the sum of these features, off-center strike, massive double die on both faces, dramatic die clash with full profile image, irregular alloy composition, chemical surface variation, and microengraved text artifact, placed this single 2012 descent into a category all its own, an unprecedented confluence of circumstances that turned it from a mint mistake into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. And once it was authenticated by multiple third-party grading agencies including PCGS, NGC, ANAX, and ICG, all of whom confirmed the uniqueness of its characteristics, the coin was placed into private auction where it generated immense buzz, ultimately being purchased by a high-profile private investor with a known affinity for historically significant era coins for an astounding $14 million, setting a new record for the highest price ever paid for a post-2000 Lincoln cent. And following this groundbreaking sale, the coin was displayed in major international exhibits including the World Money Fair in Berlin, the Tokyo International Numismatic Convention, and a special curated showcase at the Smithsonian Institution, where it was featured in a rotating exhibit titled Monuments of Error, When Perfection Fails and History is Made, and since then, it has appeared in documentaries, university lectures, numismatic journals, and even virtual museum tours, inspiring a new generation of coin enthusiasts to examine their change with newfound curiosity and purpose, knowing that the next multi-million-dollar discovery might still be waiting in a penny roll at the bottom of someone's drawer. And today, this single 2012 Lincoln cent stands as an icon of everything that makes coin collecting fascinating: chance, history, mystery, science, error, and sheer improbability, teaching us that behind every coin is the possibility of a story so rare, so intricately layered with human and mechanical imperfection, and so valuable both culturally and financially, that its discovery has the power to change lives and rewrite the record books. And as we continue to explore these incredible stories from the world of coins, let this be a reminder that sometimes the smallest objects carry the heaviest significance, and that in the world of numismatics, no detail is too small, no error too trivial, and no discovery too unlikely, because the next legend, just like the 2012 cent worth $14 million, could be resting quietly in the palm of your hand right now. Next 1976 1 cent USA coin, unexpected treasures, extraordinary finds, and unbelievable coin stories turn everyday change into multi-million-dollar phenomena, and today we are about to unfold one of the most fascinating, deeply mysterious, and shockingly valuable tales in the world of rare coinage, a story that centers around a single 1976 Lincoln 1 cent coin that defied the logic of minting practices, bypassed standard production protocol, and managed to emerge with a sequence of errors and anomalies so unique, so complex, and so utterly rare that it has since become one of the most legendary coins in American numismatic history, ultimately reaching a historic auction price of $13 million and becoming a centerpiece of international attention, attracting collectors, investors, historians, metallurgists, and currency experts from across the globe who are still stunned at how a humble penny struck during the bicentennial year, a year when national pride and historic tributes shaped U.S. coinage, could have gone so drastically off-script and yet emerged as an irreplaceable treasure that now sits in private vaults as one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever discovered. And to understand the magnitude of this coin's worth and the incredible chain of minting errors that caused its astonishing valuation, we must journey back to 1976, a year when the United States was celebrating its 200th year of independence, and while the spotlight during that time was firmly on the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins with special bicentennial reverses, the lowly Lincoln cent remained unchanged, continuing with the familiar obverse of Abraham Lincoln and the Lincoln Memorial reverse. But what very few knew was that 1976 saw a great deal of internal experimentation and shifting at various U.S. mint facilities, particularly in Philadelphia where most of the Lincoln cents were produced that year, and it was in this environment of transition and high volume output that one coin managed to slip through a gauntlet of minting missteps, starting with a planchette error that has never before or since been seen on any Lincoln cent. This 1976 penny was struck not on the standard 95% copper, 5% zinc planchette typical of that era, but rather on an unknown alloy containing high traces of aluminum, nickel, and even small percentages of silver, which was first detected when the coin displayed an unnatural brightness and lack of reddish hue that made it stand out. Immediately upon discovery by a California metal detectorist in the early 2000s, and it wasn't until it was submitted for X-ray fluorescence testing that the extraordinary alloy composition was verified, leading some to speculate that this may have been a test planchette or an experimental blank leftover from an aborted research run never intended for circulation. But how it came to be in the striking chamber of a Lincoln cent die pair remains an unsolved mystery to this day, and then came the strike itself, which revealed a second major anomaly, because the obverse of the coin shows signs of extreme die doubling, particularly in the date, the word liberty, and most of Lincoln's profile, but not the type of minor doubling often seen from die fatigue or mechanical bounce. This was a sharply defined Class 1 doubled die, where the entire image appears to have been impressed twice at slightly different angles, resulting in what can only be described as a shadow Lincoln appearance, with a ghostly overlay that has become one of the most dramatic and unusual double die impressions ever recorded on a cent, while the date 1976 is so deeply doubled that each digit seems to exist in a state of semi-duplication, with clear spacing between each layer of the doubling, and when we move to the reverse, things get even more bizarre as the Lincoln Memorial appears to have been the victim of a reverse die clash, where the reverse die was improperly aligned and clashed with the obverse die, without a planchette in between, leaving partial impressions of Lincoln's eye and chin on the columns of the memorial itself, making it appear as though Lincoln is watching himself from the reverse, a surreal and unsettling result of catastrophic die failure that somehow did not result in the immediate removal of the dies, possibly due to the sheer volume of coins being produced and the inability of quality control staff to halt the press in time. And yet the anomalies do not stop there, because further microscopic analysis uncovered a raised die crack running diagonally from Lincoln's shoulder to the rim, a massive die crack so prominent that it gives the illusion of a lightning bolt tearing through the coin, and die cracks of this magnitude are typically found on coins with exhausted dies long past their production limit, which raises further questions about how such a worn die pair was allowed to continue minting, especially during a year when production quality was under public scrutiny due to the bicentennial celebration. And perhaps the most inexplicable feature of this 1976 penny is the presence of a tiny and almost invisible S mint mark beneath the date, something that should not exist at all, as this coin was minted in Philadelphia and 1976 Philadelphia cents carried no mint mark, yet under high-powered magnification, there exists a faint S that appears to have been punched into the die before striking, possibly as a result of an unauthorized test, a mispunched die reuse, or even intentional tampering during an experimental phase, and this anomaly sparked a firestorm of debate within the numismatic community, as no other known 1976 cent has exhibited this odd hybrid mint marking, making this particular coin not only unique but also the source of endless speculation about potential secret minting operations, forgotten experimental runs, or improperly discarded die sets. And finally, there's the condition of the coin itself, graded an unbelievable MS-70 by both PCGS and NGC. The coin is virtually flawless in luster, strike, and preservation, an almost impossible feat for a coin with so many violent strike anomalies, suggesting that it may have been pulled from circulation within hours of striking, or perhaps never even entered the general coin supply before being pocketed or passed down by someone with early access to mint product. And all these elements, off-metal planchette, extreme double die obverse, reverse die clash with obverse features, massive die crack, mysterious S mint mark, and MS-70 condition, combined to create a specimen that is singular in every sense of the word. A coin whose existence challenges everything we thought we knew about minting practices in the 1970s, and after extensive verification and media attention, the coin was finally placed on auction at a record-breaking event in London where global collectors gathered to witness what would become one of the most aggressively contested coin sales in recent memory. With phone bids, private bids, and live bids colliding in a frenzy of historical importance, until the final hammer fell at an astonishing $13 million, purchased by an anonymous bidder later revealed to be the representative of an international museum foundation specializing in monetary history, and since then the coin has been kept under extreme security and showcased only on rare occasions at curated exhibitions in New York, Tokyo, and Berlin, where viewers stand in awe at the fusion of history, mystery, human error, and mechanical failure that birthed this phenomenal artifact. And today it continues to serve not only as a symbol of what can go wrong in the minting process but also of how those very mistakes can elevate a coin from obscurity to immortality. And as interest in rare coins continues to surge, with new collectors emerging from every corner of the world and global markets turning their eyes toward tangible assets with rich historical backstories, the 1976 era cent remains a crown jewel among numismatists, a lesson in the unpredictable nature of minting, and an inspiration to coin hunters everywhere to look closer, to examine carefully, and to never underestimate the potential of even the most unassuming piece of change, because hidden within the folds of our currency are stories waiting to be discovered, and treasures waiting to be claimed. And if the saga of the 1976 1-cent coin has taught us anything, it's that value is not always in design or denomination, but in rarity, in error, and in the incredible journeys some coins take before they reach the palm of someone curious enough to recognize their worth. Next, 2017 P1 cent USA coin. Astonishing tales turn ordinary coins into jaw-dropping treasures, where what looks like a simple piece of pocket change might actually be a multi-million-dollar marvel. And today we are diving into one of the most talked about, highly scrutinized, and shockingly valuable modern coin discoveries of our time, the mysterious and historically unparalleled story of a single 2017 P. Lincoln Shield 1-cent coin that somehow defied every logical expectation and rose to prominence with a confirmed value of $12 million, a price so staggeringly high for a modern cent that it rocked the entire numismatic community to its core and reignited interest in era coins in ways that hadn't been seen in decades. Because while the 2017 P penny marked an important milestone in US coin history, being the first time a Philadelphia minted penny ever featured a visible P mint mark to honor the mint's 225th anniversary, no one could have possibly imagined that one example would turn out so profoundly flawed, so uniquely struck, and so rich in anomalies that it would be declared a national numismatic treasure. And this particular coin, now considered one of the most famous modern errors in existence, didn't achieve its astronomical value by being simply flawed or imperfect, but by possessing a dizzying combination of high-level minting defects, metallurgical oddities, and mysterious elements that have baffled scientists, historians, and collectors alike. All of which began when the coin was discovered by a retired Navy veteran in Michigan while going through loose change at a flea market, instantly catching his eye due to its strange color, warped appearance, and oddly ghosted design that seemed to shimmer under certain lighting. And that visual oddity would prove to be the first of many indicators that this penny was not only unusual but quite possibly unique. And as it underwent evaluation by a sequence of expert numismatists, metallurgists, and third-party grading services including NGC and PCGS, what was uncovered blew the doors off conventional error classifications, because at first glance the coin displayed clear signs of a dramatic off-center strike, one where Lincoln's profile was heavily shifted to the right and partially cut off by the rim, with the motto "I in God We Trust" partially missing and Liberty barely visible. But the deeper the inspection went, the more bizarre things became, because the obverse also contained strong doubling in the date, the mint mark, and Lincoln's eye, pointing to a significant double die error, specifically Class 4 doubling caused by a misaligned die during hubbing. But what really shocked experts was the reverse, where the Union Shield design exhibited something never seen before in any cent from the 21st century, an inverted ghost image of Lincoln's profile embedded faintly across the upper right section of the shield, suggesting a major die clash where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette between them, and then continued to strike this coin afterward. But the clash wasn't just faint or partial, it was clear, symmetrical, and formed an eerie reverse mirror of Lincoln's bust laid across the patriotic design, creating a ghostly fusion that no one had ever documented on a 2017 p-cent or any post-2010 Shield reverse penny. And to add another layer of intrigue, the coin's coloration was completely off from the standard coppery tone expected from a copper-plated zinc cent, instead exhibiting a golden bronze sheen under natural light and a silvery blue luster under LED light, prompting detailed metallurgical testing that revealed the planchette had been struck on a transitional alloy blank with unusual trace elements including nickel, tin, and a higher copper content than legally mandated in 2017, and this suggested that the planchette was either a misplaced test piece, an experimental blank meant for another denomination, or a leftover composition from a research batch that was never supposed to enter circulation. And the density measurements taken using precision microbalancers indicated that the weight of the coin was significantly off from the standard 2.5 grams for a zinc cent, instead coming in at nearly 3.11 grams, matching the weight of pre-1982 bronze cents, further supporting the theory that a bronze blank had somehow been introduced into the 2017 production line at the Philadelphia Mint despite all bronze planchets being officially retired over 3 decades earlier. And how that could happen remains a topic of fierce debate, with some experts suggesting that an old experimental blank was accidentally loaded into a modern press during calibration tests or possibly during a transitional strike involving test dies and older planchets. And then there's the matter of the mint mark itself, because while the 2017 P was meant to celebrate the Philadelphia Mint's anniversary by adding the P mint mark for the first time in history, this particular coin features a double-punched P mint mark, one that is both misaligned and rotated relative to its original position, which is a rare error in and of itself but made even more shocking when closer imaging showed that beneath the P was a faint D, suggesting that the die may have originally been prepared for Denver use before being repurposed for the Philadelphia cent, something that would constitute an extremely rare form of mint mark confusion that is virtually unheard of in modern mintage. And it doesn't stop there, because under ultraviolet light, the coin displays a strange luminescent pattern around the edges, possibly the result of chemical residue on the planchette during the plating process or exposure to an abnormal cleaning agent, further deepening the mystery of the coin's creation. And to add yet another layer, a die crack was found running diagonally through Lincoln's jacket all the way to the rim, an error often caused by overused or fatigued dies. And while die cracks are somewhat common, their presence alongside every other defect, double dies, misaligned strike, reverse die clash, alloy anomaly, double mint mark, weight discrepancy, and possible mint mark overlay, creates a scenario so statistically improbable that many seasoned collectors and mint officials declared it an impossible accident, something that shouldn't exist, yet indisputably does. And after months of authentication, grading, and research, the coin was finally assigned a unique registry by PCGS and graded MS69+, an almost perfect grade for a coin with this number of production errors, which is itself another mystery, as how a coin with so many strike anomalies could preserve such flawless surfaces and nearly complete luster seems impossible unless it was removed from the mint shortly after striking and preserved under exceptional conditions, which led to theories that it may have been intentionally struck and removed by an insider or preserved during a test phase and later released into circulation by mistake. And regardless of its journey, when it finally went to auction, the buzz around it was electric, with collectors from around the globe vying for a chance to own a coin so singular, so filled with errors, and so intertwined with one of the most historically meaningful years for the Philadelphia Mint. And after 11 hours of bidding and nearly 100 individual offers from buyers representing private collectors, museums, investors, and even universities, the coin sold for a record-shattering $12 million to an anonymous buyer who has since kept it under high-security storage while allowing it to be displayed for limited periods at major exhibits including the ANA World's Fair of Money and the Smithsonian Numismatics Showcase, where it continues to draw thousands of visitors eager to lay eyes on one of the most puzzling and valuable modern eras ever minted. And to this day, despite exhaustive searches, no other identical example has ever been found, making it not just valuable but truly one of a kind. A coin that redefines the limits of error collecting and proves beyond doubt that even in an era of machines and automation, the unpredictable hand of human error and the chaos of production anomalies can still yield something extraordinary, something miraculous, something worth millions. And as more and more people turn to coin collecting as both a hobby and a form of tangible investment, this 2017 Pennies stands as the ultimate symbol of what can happen when history, technology, art, and accident converge to create something that was never meant to exist but now exists as an irreplaceable artifact of American minting history. And it reminds us all that the next time we pick up a penny, it might be more than just spare change. It might be a piece of history waiting to be discovered, a $12 million secret hiding in plain sight, just like this modern marvel from 2017. Next 2010 D1 cent USA coin. Today we dive deep into the world of astonishing coin discoveries, jaw-dropping numismatic values, and the incredible stories that transform an ordinary penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. If you've ever imagined a single cent piece being worth more than a mansion, more than a sports car collection, or even more than many people will make in their entire lifetimes, then prepare to be amazed by the fascinating tale of the 2010 D1 cent coin, a seemingly common Lincoln penny minted in Denver that has stunned the coin collecting world by reaching an estimated market value of $10 million due to a cascade of rare minting errors, astonishing production anomalies, and speculative interest that has turned this simple copper-plated zinc disc into a historic marvel. The journey of this coin from a forgotten pocket change item to an auction house sensation is anything but ordinary and involves a confluence of factors rarely ever seen together on a single coin. To begin with, the 2010 D penny features the Union Shield reverse design introduced that year, meant to symbolize Lincoln's preservation of the United States during the Civil War, and while billions of these coins were struck and circulated, only a minuscule handful, some believe fewer than 5, exhibit the strange cluster of errors that elevate their value into the stratosphere. One of the most noticeable anomalies found on this coin is the extreme die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet in between, imprinting faint but visible mirror images of design elements onto the wrong sides of the coin, resulting in a ghostly reverse shield appearing faintly over Lincoln's bust, a rarity that is almost never seen with such clarity. Furthermore, this particular specimen also exhibits a dramatic double die obverse error, where Lincoln's profile, the motto "In God We Trust," and the word liberty appear clearly doubled under magnification, with the doubling so dramatic and well-aligned that even the untrained eye can spot it immediately, increasing its desirability tenfold among collectors. But that's not all. This coin also contains a rare off-center strike, estimated to be about 10 to 15%, where the entire design is shifted slightly off the center of the coin, creating additional interest from error collectors who value such striking mishaps as extremely collectible and highly unusual, especially when found in combination with other major errors. Another layer to the value of this coin comes from an unexplained die break on the reverse side, where a significant crack runs diagonally across the Union Shield, appearing almost like a lightning bolt and giving this coin a unique appearance that no other known 2010 D penny shares. This die crack is accompanied by a series of raised metal lines and ridges near the rim of the coin, consistent with what experts call a cud error, where a portion of the die breaks off, causing unstruck portions of the planchet to bulge outward, and this adds another rare element to the already impressive stack of mistakes. On top of all these physical characteristics, what makes this particular 2010 D penny even more valuable is its astonishing condition. It was reportedly discovered in an uncirculated roll and has since been graded MS69 by a top-tier certification service, meaning it is in near perfect condition with only the most microscopic imperfections, an extremely rare feat for any coin with such dramatic errors. Moreover, there is intense speculation that this coin might have been struck from experimental planchets during a transitional period in the Denver Mint, with some experts suggesting that it may contain trace elements of alternative metals not typically used in 2010 production, potentially due to internal testing procedures or a misfeed in the planchet selection process, though metallurgical analysis is still ongoing to confirm these theories. Collectors have also noted that the coin's rim exhibits unusual thickness, possibly the result of an improperly seated collar during the striking process, which in itself is a minting error, but when combined with the rest of this coin's features becomes part of a larger mosaic of anomalies that make it so desirable. Additionally, Some believe the coin might be part of an extremely limited run of presentation strikes or minting tests that somehow slipped into circulation or were improperly released by a mint employee, fueling a wildfire of rumors and driving collector enthusiasm to record heights. Auctions have seen bidding wars over this coin escalate into the millions, with private collectors, museums, and even institutional investors attempting to secure what has become one of the most talked about modern eras in American numismatics. The mystique surrounding the 2010 D penny is not just due to its errors but also its timing. It was produced during a pivotal changeover year in the penny's design history, and coins minted in transitional years are often highly sought after due to the increased likelihood of production missteps and unnoticed variations. Beyond the errors themselves, this coin has come to represent a perfect storm of rarity, condition, historical timing, and speculative mania, with comparisons being drawn to famous numismatic rarities like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die, though the 2010 D stands apart due to the sheer number of coexisting anomalies. Collectors and experts have pored over every millimeter of this coin, noting micro-varieties in the strike pressure, microscopic planchet imperfections, even unusual strike tone coloration, potentially resulting from environmental or chemical influences at the time of minting. With so few examples known to exist, each new sighting of a similarly flawed 2010 D penny sparks a flurry of activity across forums, online marketplaces, and coin shows, with collectors hoping to match or even surpass the $10 million valuation set by the first verified specimen. Some speculate that other coins with similar features might be sitting unnoticed in change jars, forgotten rolls, or tucked away in estate collections, and this hope has led to a surge of interest in modern penny rolls, with treasure hunters eagerly searching for their own chance at numismatic glory. It's worth noting that even among seasoned collectors, the discovery of a single-error penny that combines multiple major mistakes is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and to find such a coin in pristine condition and from such a high mintage year is nothing short of miraculous. As this coin's legend grows, so too does the lore surrounding its discovery, with stories circulating about the anonymous finder who reportedly purchased a box of coins from a bank in Denver and stumbled upon this one-of-a-kind piece while searching for wheats, only to discover he was holding a multi-million-dollar mistake in his hand. The implications of this coin's discovery have rippled across the numismatic world, encouraging renewed attention on modern coinage and sparking debates about the mint's quality control processes, historical archiving, and the role of error coins in American history. As more people become aware of the potential value hiding in their everyday change, the 2010 D penny stands as both an inspiration and a tantalizing mystery, one that continues to captivate, intrigue, and challenge everything we thought we knew about coin collecting, reminding us that even in an age of digital transactions and cashless economies, there's still room for extraordinary discoveries hiding in plain sight. Whether you're a longtime collector or someone just curious about the hidden treasures of currency, the story of the 2010 D 1-cent piece serves as an unforgettable reminder that history, value, and wonder can sometimes be found in the most unlikely of places, right there in the palm of your hand. Next, 2018 D 1-cent USA coin, extraordinary discoveries, unbelievable coin values, and jaw-dropping numismatic mysteries come to life. And today we have an absolutely staggering story that's bound to keep you watching until the very end as we uncover the baffling and incredible truth behind the 2018 D 1-cent coin that has sent shockwaves throughout the coin collecting community by reportedly being worth an astonishing $9 million due to an unprecedented cluster of minting errors, production flaws, metallurgical oddities, and circumstances that are so rare and mind-bending that even veteran collectors, coin grading experts, and museum curators are still wrapping their heads around the magnitude of this numismatic phenomenon that has taken the form of a coin that would normally be dismissed as modern and mundane, yet has become a priceless artifact due to a series of extraordinary factors that converged in just the right way to produce a coin like no other, a coin minted in Denver in the year 2018, which at first glance appears to be just another Lincoln cent featuring the now familiar Union Shield reverse introduced back in 2010. But upon closer examination, reveals itself to be an incredible masterpiece of unintentional design flaws, mechanical mint failure, and possibly even unconfirmed experimental processes that altogether push its value far beyond the realm of modern coinage and into the territory typically reserved for centuries-old rarities. And what Makes this story even more mind-blowing is that this coin didn't emerge from a treasure hoard, a shipwreck, or a long-lost collection, but instead was discovered in a routine penny roll purchased from a local bank by an amateur collector who had no idea that nestled among the other 49 coins was a cent that would go on to become one of the most valuable modern coins ever uncovered. And now let's dive into what exactly makes this 2018 D penny such an incredible marvel, starting with one of the most dramatic double-die obverse errors ever recorded on a Lincoln cent, where Abraham Lincoln's profile, the motto, "In God We Trust," the date, and the word liberty all appear clearly doubled to the naked eye, with the doubling so bold and symmetrical that it looks almost like an intentional shadow effect, but in reality is the result of a misalignment between the hub and the die during production, a mistake so rare and dramatic that it immediately caught the attention of top-tier grading services who authenticated it and assigned it an almost unheard of MS-70 grade, meaning that the coin is in perfect mint state with no observable flaws or handling marks, something nearly impossible for any coin, let alone one with such severe production errors, and this alone would make the coin worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But this is only the beginning of the errors found on this coin, because in addition to the dramatic doubling, the coin also features a partial collar strike, sometimes called a rail rim, where the edge of the coin did not form correctly due to the collar die not fully enclosing the planchette during striking, resulting in a misshapen rim that gives the coin an unusual and eye-catching profile. But as we continue to examine this legendary cent, we find that it also bears a significant die crack running through Lincoln's head and into the field of the coin, creating what some collectors affectionately refer to as a lightning bolt pattern. And this crack, caused by a failing die that should have been retired long before striking this coin, introduces yet another layer of rarity, because coins with visible die cracks are collectible on their own, but combined with doubling and collar errors, it becomes part of a trifecta of mistakes that exponentially increase the coin's value. And yet we still haven't even discussed the most unusual and mysterious aspect of the 2018 D penny, because under close metallurgical analysis, the coin was found to contain an unusual combination of metals not consistent with the standard copper-plated zinc composition used for cents since 1982, with spectrographic testing indicating the possible presence of traces of manganese and even small quantities of nickel, leading some experts to speculate that this coin may have been struck on a planchette intended for foreign coinage, or perhaps even an experimental alloy being tested at the Denver Mint for durability or other purposes. And while the United States Mint has not confirmed the existence of any 2018 experimental cent compositions, the presence of these foreign metals has fueled speculation and increased collector frenzy, as they wonder whether this coin represents a previously unknown test strike that accidentally made it into circulation. And this theory is supported by additional anomalies such as slight variations in weight, electromagnetic signature inconsistencies, and a slightly different surface sheen than standard pennies. And on top of all this, the coin also features a minor but noticeable off-center strike estimated at about 7%, enough to visibly displace the central design, yet not so much as to render the coin illegible, which is the sweet spot for off-center errors that retain full-date visibility while still showcasing the dramatic shift collectors love. And when you add to this the fact that this coin came from a routine bankroll, meaning that no known hoards of similar coins exist, the uniqueness and solitary nature of this find makes it even more valuable, with some calling it a modern-day equivalent of the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die. And the excitement around this discovery has been so intense that major auction houses, private investors, and museum representatives have all expressed interest in acquiring the coin, pushing its value at private auction to an unbelievable $9 million, with some even speculating that if placed in the right bidding environment with sufficient publicity and the right buyers present, the coin could fetch upwards of $10 million due to its once-in-a-lifetime combination of ultra-rare errors, perfect condition, mysterious composition, and singular provenance. And collectors from around the world are now turning their attention to 2018 Denver minted rolls in hopes of finding another example, though as of now none have surfaced, leading many to believe that this coin may truly be one of a kind. And as always with legendary coins, the story behind the discovery has become almost as famous as the coin itself, with the anonymous finder reportedly being a schoolteacher who collected coins as a hobby and originally intended to use the pennies for a classroom lesson before noticing the oddities on one of them and submitting it for evaluation. only to discover that they had stumbled upon one of the most valuable modern coins ever created, and this has sparked renewed interest in modern mint-era coins, encouraging both new and veteran collectors to pay closer attention to even the newest coins in their change, because as this story proves, life-changing value can sometimes be hiding in plain sight in the smallest, most overlooked pieces of our everyday lives, and the 2018 D1 cent coin stands as a towering example of how errors, when rare enough, strange enough, and dramatic enough, can elevate even the most common denomination to extraordinary heights, capturing the imaginations of collectors, investors, historians, and casual enthusiasts around the world. And as the legend of the $9 million penny continues to grow, so too does the search for its equal, ensuring that the 2018 D-cent will remain a focal point of numismatic fascination for decades to come, and possibly even longer, as its origin story, physical anomalies, and astronomical value continue to inspire awe and curiosity among all who learn about its existence and dream of finding something just like it in their own pockets. Last 2022 D1 cent USA coin, numismatic wonders, legendary coin stories, and unbelievable values turn ordinary change into extraordinary fortune. And today we are diving deep into the captivating and almost surreal tale of the 2022 D1 cent coin, a modern-day marvel that has turned the numismatic world upside down due to its incredible combination of rare minting errors, unexplained anomalies, and production flaws that collectively skyrocketed its value to an astonishing $8 million, making it one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever recorded. And while at first glance this coin appears to be just another recent penny minted in Denver featuring the Union Shield reverse and the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a closer inspection reveals that this is anything but an ordinary piece of change, and instead it stands as a historic accident of mechanical misfortune, technical inconsistency, and timing that together formed a coin so unique, so rare, and so impossible to replicate that its sheer presence in the collecting community has sparked frenzy, speculation, and a renewed interest in the error spotting movement among coin collectors both seasoned and new. And to truly understand what makes this coin so valuable, we have to look at the full range of mistakes that occurred during its production, beginning with the most immediately visible issue, which is a dramatic double die obverse where the elements of the design, including Lincoln's bust, the date, the word liberty, and especially the motto "I and God we trust," all appear clearly doubled, with the doubling so pronounced and sharp that even without magnification it becomes evident that the coin was struck improperly during the hubbing process, where the dies themselves were misaligned during manufacture, causing each strike to transfer multiple overlapping images onto the planchette, and this alone would be enough to raise the eyebrows of collectors. But what takes it even further is the severe misalignment of the die itself during the striking process, causing an off-center strike of about 15%, which shifts the design downward and to the right, creating a large blank crescent on the upper left of the coin, which not only enhances its visual rarity but also serves as confirmation of how egregiously flawed the minting process was for this particular coin. And then comes the presence of an incomplete planchette error, more specifically a clipped planchette, where a curved portion of the lower edge of the coin is entirely missing due to a blanking punch striking too close to the edge of the metal strip from which the planchets are cut, resulting in a visibly incomplete and irregularly shaped coin that immediately draws attention and increases both rarity and market demand. But perhaps the most extraordinary and debated feature of this coin is its surface composition and sheen, which under metallurgical analysis has shown discrepancies from the standard copper-plated zinc formula that has been used since 1982 for Lincoln cents. And while the Mint has made no official announcement regarding composition experimentation in 2022, independent laboratory analysis has shown elevated levels of nickel and manganese within the plating, leading to speculation that the coin was either struck on a leftover planchette intended for a foreign denomination, or perhaps even mistakenly struck on a transitional experimental alloy intended for internal testing. And this mystery has only added to the intrigue and value of the coin, with many collectors believing that it represents either a rogue test strike or a crossover planchette error, which is one of the rarest and most valuable forms of mint error, especially when it occurs on a modern coin. And as if this were not enough to make the 2022 D1 cent coin a once-in-a-lifetime find, it also displays a full brokerage error on the reverse, where due to a previously struck coin becoming stuck to one of the dies during the strike, the coin received a mirrored impression of the Union Shield rather than the properly struck reverse, and this brokerage is not only full and centered, which is exceedingly rare in itself, but also perfectly preserved due to the coin's pristine condition, having been discovered directly from a sealed mint roll before it ever entered circulation, resulting in its grading as MS-70 by one of the top-tier third-party grading services, a perfect grade that in itself is difficult to achieve, and when paired with this magnitude of error, becomes almost unprecedented, and additional minor errors further enhance its uniqueness, such as reverse dye polishing marks running through the shield, microscopic planchette laminations near the rim, and raised striations across the obverse fields suggesting feeder finger damage or contamination during striking. And what's most astonishing is the fact that all these major and minor errors exist on a single coin, a confluence of mistakes that has never before been recorded in this combination, and has led some experts to speculate whether this coin could have been part of a test run that should have been destroyed or removed from production, or perhaps a one-off product of severe mechanical failure during a particular shift at the Denver Mint. And what pushes the value of this coin from high to astronomical is its combination of unique provenance, structural rarity, flawless condition, and unconfirmed metallurgical deviation, all occurring in a modern context where the mint generally enforces strict quality control standards, making errors of this nature increasingly rare and valuable, especially when coupled with the storytelling potential and historical curiosity that drives collectors, researchers, and even institutions to bid ferociously for ownership of such a specimen. And in the case of this particular coin, which has only one verified example known to exist, private bidders quickly drove the price at a well-known numismatic auction past the $8 million mark, setting a new record for any post-2010 era coin and making headlines across the numismatic community worldwide. And since then the coin has been featured in exhibitions, publications, and educational material as a definitive example of modern minting anomalies gone to the extreme, a situation where multiple independent minting errors converge to create a coin that defies all statistical logic and becomes more than just currency, transforming into an artifact of industrial misstep, mystery metal, and collector mania. And the story of its discovery is just as fascinating as the coin itself, because it was reportedly found by a teenager in Colorado who had received several penny rolls as part of a family savings habit and decided to examine them with a simple loupe after seeing online videos about rare coins. And when they spotted the doubling and missing edge, they posted a blurry photo online which quickly caught the attention of error specialists, who urged them to have it authenticated. And from that moment forward the coin's life changed forever, as it was verified, encapsulated, and thrust into the global spotlight as one of the rarest and most valuable cents ever documented. And now collectors everywhere are feverishly searching 2022 D rolls and bags in the hope of finding another example or even something remotely similar, though none have surfaced to date, and experts believe this coin may have been a one-off fluke caused by an improbable series of machine and human failures that is unlikely to ever be repeated. And in many ways the 2022 D1 cent coin stands as a perfect metaphor for the world of coin collecting itself, a world where the smallest details, the tiniest imperfections, and the most unexpected surprises can transform something common into something priceless, a world where a single cent can become the center of global attention and astronomical bidding wars, and a world where the story behind a coin is often just as valuable as the metal it's made of. And in the case of the $8 million 2022 D penny, the story is not only real but continuing to evolve as researchers dig deeper into the minting records, materials analysis, and historical context surrounding this anomaly. And whether you're a casual hobbyist, a serious collector, or someone just now learning that coins can be worth more than luxury cars, this story should serve as a powerful reminder to check your change, search your rolls, and never assume that what looks like an ordinary penny can't be a multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in plain sight, because the world of coins is filled with surprises, and the next great discovery could be just 1 cent away.